Okay, welcome back to Chapter 7 of Deception, where we will be going off on another Rube Goldberg-inspired rampage of violence. Because that's how we roll, with giant fucking boulders. And we're introduced to two more mooks who I know are probably not gonna last at all. This is not a game that cares about killing off its supporting cast at all. Now, personally, I wouldn't admit that I wasn't allowed to hurt someone if I was trying to convince them not to run away. And I certainly wouldn't then proceed to pull out a giant fucking axe. Feel sorry for Marco, though. Seems like a genuinely decent kid. Now, the rest of these fuckers, on the other hand, are gonna pay. In blood, flesh, and miscellaneous internal organs, because frankly I can't be bothered sifting through all that shit. So yeah, we're gonna... We have a lot of pillars to work with in this stage, which of course I love dropping on people, so we're gonna take advantage of that shit. And of course the smash hammer, which is the upgraded version of the pendulum I've been using all along. You'll notice I've got a few new traps that are mostly just improvements on the old ones. There's a couple of traps in this stage I didn't use, which I probably could have, the room devices. One of them, which I'm dodging to avoid there, electrifies all the water. And you see a nice lucky grab there, gets both of them. There's the smash hammer. Right into the pillar, and the pillar comes down on them thanks to the push wall. And no, I wasn't actually aiming to get both of them in that. That's a funny way of saying things, that single scream. In all seriousness, I wasn't actually thinking I'd be able to get both of them in that one trap. It was a nice, happy coincidence. And now, having exhausted the killing potential of this room, I'm relocating because I need some more space where I can set up a decent choke point and kind of murder people. This room, as we've fought in before, it's not really that good. It's not too many ways, and it's too hard to coax anyone with a ranged attack down to fight you. So we're going to set up in here, because this room has a lot of nice little traps. It's got a nice little lumber saw, thorn ball which periodically drops down into the middle of the area, the death needle, which I swear one day I'm going to figure out how to get somebody up into. I couldn't figure it out for this video. And an electric chair. Because seriously, electric chairs are hard to go past. And I'm going to promise that every trap in this room is going to be used except the needles, simply because I couldn't figure out how I was going to get somebody up into them. I suspect, I may need to come back to this particular segment of the... when I've got more traps and find a way. Then... Anyway, we're setting up our first trap here. And we should be seeing Lorenz as the first one to come out, I believe. He's the monk sort of dude. Which led me to find out something rather amusing in this video, which you'll see in a little bit when he actually comes through the door. And I admit, I did this by accident the first time, and then I reloaded a couple of times too. Because I fucked up later and had to restart. I didn't want to miss this bit. He dives right through the door, so if you drop the sledgehammer at just the right time, he leaps right into it. Now we're going to set off the push wall, because I'm a dick. Right into the lumber saw. Because I'm a lumberjack and it's okay. Of course, now I'm kind of in a bit of a problem, because I've got enemies on both sides. All my traps are set off, and... this just is not a good situation to be in. While I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to get people into the drop hammer from the roof, because you can't set multiple traps in the same stage, so I can't just put a bear trap underneath it directly and drop someone on it. And with traps that hit multiple areas, you can do that because it's only the center part that's marked as not trappable. That thing only hits a single square, so it's not going to work if I try and do that. And I've also got, of course, worry about the fact I've got two different people who want to murder me in absurdly painful ways. You'll see one of the other new traps I've got in a second when it finishes charging. the flare rock, which is a big flaming upgrade of the rock I've been using as a finisher for a while. And it just ran over him, and I think it just put him into the saw. No, it didn't. It's not treachery, it's awesomeness. Of course, now we have Judica, who is a mage of sorts, so it gets a little bit interesting. Anyone who doesn't actually have to close with you to cause damage is a pain in the ass in this game. So what we're going to try and do is a nice little complicated Rube Goldberg-esque setup. I'm going to try and use the push wall, as you see me rearranging my traps as I realised this when I was actually playing it. I'm going to try and use the push wall to push her into the spring floor, which is going to set off the smash hammer and hopefully send her to the electric chair. Because I'm pro death penalty when it comes to people fucking with me. Of course, now having done that, I've actually got to get her down into position and live long enough. Yeah, this could get a little tricky, and sometimes on the other hand, it doesn't. Of course, now she's down, I've got to wait for her to stand back up or the smash hammer will go over her head. Kind of interrupts the combo a little bit. Unfortunately, she's missed the electric chair and is now back over the other side. I am annoyed at this turn of events. So what I'm going to do is set a nice quick charging push wall behind her, and I don't think I'm really going to get any use out of it. Fortunately for me, she doesn't move very fast. She stops to, throw her spells at you, and I was really hoping that an electric chair would actually stun the bitch. Turns out it didn't, so I'm guessing it wasn't really an electric chair, it was, a hippie solar-powered, wind-powered chair. At which point, being this seems to be set in some sort of Transylvanian analogue, it probably wasn't very useful. Now, a nuclear-powered chair I could get behind. Literally, I wouldn't want to be standing in front of that thing. Oh, and you only get one use of the electric chair in this thing, and now I've got two people who desperately want to kill me. I'm pinned between them, and both of them have ranged attacks. This is a bad situation. So we're going to hopefully set things up and try and get some combos going. It's a little bit difficult because Igor there throws firebombs at you. But hopefully I can get rid of him relatively effectively now that the smash hammer is in play, and that didn't work quite as well as I'd hoped it would. I was hoping he'd get caught by the drop hammer, which is a pity because the drop hammer is quite a nice trap. Effectively is a rock you can drop on people, except it's automated. Though the automation makes timing a little bit tricky because you can't activate it when you want it, you've got to rely on them still being stunned there. So using something like the spring floor or and blast bomb, which I'm not using because it's really unpredictable. Like I said, as you see there, you can't set things in trap sites. Nevertheless, we're going to murder some bitches. One bitch and one. I'm not sure what's the term for a servant in this case. The bitch is bitch. In any case, he's getting no respect from me. And you see there what I mean about the ranged attacks, meaning you have to be a little bit careful. And there we go, down on his head. Unfortunately, it hasn't killed him, which I'm kind of disappointed at. But the smash hammer's set up by the time he's ready, so he's a dead man. Well, it certainly didn't save him either, so, maybe he's right. Unfortunately, that little cutscene there, as you saw, meant I couldn't react fast enough to get clear of the little ball of flaming pain that had been thrown at me, which seemed to get clipped by earlier as well. And of course, since she's a ranged attacker, we got a little bit of a problem here. Namely that I can't just stand on the other side of a bear trap and goad her into walking over it. So we're going to have to go back to basically the trap I tried earlier, except with a shorter range on it. And this is where it gets interesting, because now I've got to live long enough to get her into position to actually do something. and get the smash hammer set up or something I can drop on her because she's not fucking moving where I want her to. And you see us go round and round the rose bush or mulberry bush, I don't remember. Something, it's a bush of some sort, and it's not attached to a human of any sort, so... And now we get the fun part. She turns the whole place black on us. This is where I hope to know where she walks. Use the smash hammer. Push wall. I'm doing all this blind, by the way. And into the lumber saw. I think that takes the cake for the most disturbing death cry I've heard in this game thus far. She was enjoying that far too much. I mean, death fetishism is one thing, but most people kind of go back on that when they get a taste of it. Anyway. The mission is clear. Unfortunately, I did not get the full health bonus. But, and we get the vase, which is exactly what you'd think of. It is a vase to drop on people's head and blind them. Later on in the game, they give you a vase full of oil, which is even more awesome. And yes, you can then, hit them with a flaming hammer or whatever and set them on fire. And Miguel is now here to finish what he started. And we're going to get a nice view of the heroine's ass into a cutscene. Why does she get a motherfucking rocket launcher? I'm stuck busting my ass to use these traps that I can barely control. I don't even get a knife. And he gets a motherfucking rocket launcher. Fuck him. Fuck him right in his giant phallic symbol. So I got it. Though it is apparently a rocket launcher which can bring down a castle in one shot, so I am kind of happy about finally being given a little bit of respect by these fucking villains. Oh yeah. That's a giant phallic replacement right there. Such a giant phallic replacement, in fact, that when I finally do get rid of him, I think I'm going to ram it where the sun doesn't shine. That's a long way to go to ruin a perfectly good cannon. Well, given the length, I think you might be choking on it by the end of him if I start at the other end. And that's the end of that one, so we'll be back next time with more of everything.